Are you a finger pointer? That is, do you point your finger at others, blaming and criticizing them? And you say you want to build harmony and better relationships with others? I think it's time for you to watch this video and learn something.
Blanche, will you please stop pointing a finger at me and yelling? Stop pointing a finger at me and yelling. Stop pointing a finger at me and yelling.
Learn how blaming, finger pointing, damages trust, hinders problem solving. Learn how criticism leads to defensiveness and conflict between you and others. You'll learn how projection affects relationships negatively. It's time for you to learn how to place blame, how to replace blame with accountability and self-awareness. And it's time to learn about the benefits of non-judgmental listening and honest, heart-opening communication. Sounds good? So let's get started. If you have a finger-pointing, blaming, criticizing style state of mind,
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
if you have that kind of state of mind when you talk or when you interchange with others, whether that other is your spouse, your children, your workmates, or your friends, anyone, if you have that kind of state of mind where you're a finger pointer and a blamer, you will create hostility, disharmony, and upset wherever you go with that pointing finger.
Now you listen to me. This is one time you're not gonna get away with twisting everything that I say, April. This just happens to be one goddamn time. I know I'm not in the wrong here.
You'll not find an open-hearted, open-minded person that you're trying to communicate with. No. Instead, you'll be confronted with someone who is defensive and closed because you're setting the stage for argumentation, for disagreements, and confrontation by pointing that finger of yours.
April, can you please just get back in the car and talk about this instead of running all over Route 12?
Haven't I made it clear I don't particularly want to talk about it, okay?
I mean, Jesus, I'm trying to be nice about this thing here, for God's sakes.
Oh, how kind of you. How terribly, terribly kind of you.
Wait a minute, I don't deserve this.
You're always so wonderfully definite on the subject of what you do and don't deserve.
Wait a minute. Wait a goddamn... April, now you listen to me.
Pointing your finger and blaming, pointing your finger and criticizing, all those efforts that you're doing to try to change another, to try to bend them to your will.
We do it my way. We do it my way. My way.
My way. My way.
We do it my way. We do it my way.
Well, I took this job with the understanding I could do it my way.
My way! My way! My way!
That will not create harmony and bliss in your life and relationships. If your communications and relating style is like that, in big or even in little ways, I bet you're not finding a life of harmony and peace. I'm sure you're not. You're certainly not in the company of the people with whom you relate with.
Just watch it. Just watch it.
I feel like I'm being fucking patronised all the time. You blame everything on me, everything is my fault. Take responsibility
You just watch it.
for yourself and what you're doing.
Give me some shit.
Don't
Come on,
push
he's always
me
trying to prove stuff
around.
like that. Okay, I'll do what I want.
I'm sure even your dog will cower and run from you. Blaming and criticism are often too common human interactions. Often too common. Have you noticed that when you are pointing your finger at others, 3 more 3 more are pointing back at you. Huh?
Get an illness.
You noticed that?
And they get hit by a car and die.
Have your goddamn job. And I'm the man that can have your goddamn job. The man that can have your goddamn job.
Have you recognized the deleterious effects of blaming and making others wrong? You need to take notice of that.
We gotta stop blaming sometime. We gotta stop blaming sometime.
Have you noticed how that kind of a communication style does cause defensiveness in others? It causes resentment and conflict. No one likes to be at the receiving end of blaming and criticizing. So why do you keep doing it? Wake up! Wake up! Blaming often arises when you assign responsibility for mistakes or failures to others that you're not recognizing as your own failures. You're not recognizing your own failures. Instead, you're blaming others. Blaming serves as a way for you to avoid your personal responsibility. It's a way of deflecting the guilt that you may feel consciously or unconsciously. And it's a way of you trying to exert your will or control over others.
I might be tempted to rearrange your face somewhat.
I'm sure you don't like it when others do that to you. It's time for you to be mindful of how you're relating. Often, when you're overly critical or constantly blaming others, you're probably projecting your own insecurities. You're projecting your own fears, your own unresolved issues. You're projecting them onto others.
Don't worry, I can't be bothered. You're not worth the trouble it would take to hate you. You're not worth the powder it would take to blow you up. You are an empty, hollow shell of a woman.
This is called projection. It's a psychological term, and it can be unconscious. It can also be conscious. It's a psychological defense mechanism. It's well known in psychology.
First of all, what is projection? Projection is a psychological defense mechanism where you have feelings and emotions that are unacceptable to you, and instead of owning it, you attribute it to someone else.
You can see politicians doing it, deferring responsibility. Instead of owning what is rising in your consciousness, you project it. You project your own feelings, your own flaws, your own shortcomings onto someone else instead of acknowledging them within yourself.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. Not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
You've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
It takes courage to acknowledge what's going on in you. Constant blaming damages trust. It hinders problem solving. Instead of focusing on solutions, you get caught in a cycle of blame, defensiveness, and thus you begin to engage in arguments and other types of defensive behavior. It's not a state of openness. This kind of behavior leads to a toxic environment in both your personal and professional life. It's not a pleasant place to be, is it? So, to foster better communication, you should replace blame with accountability and replace destructive criticism with self-inspection and constructive feedback. You want to focus on solutions, not the problems. Yes, there is a place for constructive criticism. It does, and it can help others improve by pointing out weaknesses and suggesting better approaches. But if, and only if, the other is actually asking or requesting for your help. But to lay it on them, unsolicited, with a vehicle of animosity and upsetness, and perhaps a hidden agenda of yours of emotional blame on your part. That's not really helping, to throw emotional blame on others. The approach that I counsel and that I personally use in my life is to self-reflect, to look inward, rather than projecting. Rather than projecting your issues onto others, look within. I emphasize nonjudgmental listening, honest, heartfelt communication, and personal responsibility. If you experience emotional upset within you, you want to self-reflect. What is it about myself that's rising in my universe that I want another to know? I'm talking about what's rising in my universe, not about what's wrong with them. You don't even have to refer to them. Replace blame and criticism with self-awareness, non-judgmental listening, and honest communication. Let the other speak first. Listen to them openly. This will lead to personal growth and stronger relationships. Instead of externalizing negativity, explore your own inner truth and take responsibility for your own experiences. To blame your problems on life or others is an error. Your problems are not another, and your problems are not life. It may appear that way, but that's not the truth. At the core, there's something about yourself that you want another to know. I'll say it again. It's something about yourself that you want another to know. And when you deliver what that important something is about yourself, the problem begins to dissolve. So you need to take personal responsibility for what's rising within you, those emotions, those thoughts, those feelings. Others don't make you feel this way or that way. This requires self-inspection and self-reflection to dismantle this state of mind, this pointing and making others wrong. So if you want to create peace and harmony in your life, refrain. Refrain from blaming and criticizing. Refrain from abusing and making others wrong. If you want peace of mind, stop trying to be right. Stop trying to win the argument or defend a position. Be willing to listen. Be willing to understand. And this is particularly important in personal relationships with those you love. So, I say it again, from the deepest part of my heart and my knowingness. Most of your problems are not caused by another, and they're not caused by life. Thinking that way is doing you a disservice. Biblically speaking, you reap what you sow. Karma. If you plant hostility and antagonism and blame and criticism, it will be hostility and its cousins, anger, defensiveness, shutdownness, closed heart, that'll grow around you. By shifting the approach from blaming and making others wrong to taking personal responsibility in respect to what is rising in your consciousness. When you do that, you have the potential to build stronger, more productive, more loving relationships with others. I trust this has been helpful. Thank you for listening.
Open up my heart. Show me how to see the the beauty right before my eyes. In all you've given me, show me how to love, no matter what life may bring. Show me how to always be here and let your spirit sing as it shines on